So today's video is going to be a little bit of a chatty vlog. I'm preparing for IMBOLC, which is coming up soon, and I want to share the process as I create an oil for the Goddess Brigid and for IMBOLC to celebrate and to use in a spell. So grab yourselves a nice hot drink and settle back, relax and enjoy. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you're well and safe and feeling healthy and positive and joyful this 2022, and I feel like I've experienced a bit of an energy shift, and I think a few other people have talked a little bit about feeling that as well, but it's like ebbing and flowing, but sometimes it slips back into the energy that feels a little bit old and stagnant, but there's still this beautiful fresh energy. And with the first new moon of January, I found that just such a beautiful, refreshing, kind of rejuvenating and healing time. And yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying January, and it's something that I never think January is a time for me that I think I never really enjoy, but actually I think I'm enjoying January more than I enjoyed December, which is really, really strange to say out loud. But anyway, I wanted to make a chatty video today as I prepare for IMBOLC. I'm really excited to share this because I'm going to be creating an oil for the Goddess Brigid. This is an oil that I've created in the past before a couple of times, but it has changed each time, and again it's going to be changing again today. So I haven't made this oil as much as I've made the oil for the Morrigan. For those of you who don't know, the Morrigan is the deity who I work with primarily, but I do tend to work with Brigid around IMBOLC, and I tend to work a ritual with the presence of Brigid, and that's really beautiful. And I do feel, because I work with the Morrigan, there's a little bit of a connection there, like a little bit of a bond, and I feel her presence coming through more and more actually. So I've made this oil a couple of times before in the past around IMBOLC, and I wanted to do it again today. So I'm very, very excited to share that with you. I haven't really ever made a sabbat video that sort of talks about each sabbat because there are so many of them and they're done so well, but I will just give a brief sort of rundown about what IMBOLC is. So IMBOLC is a Celtic fire festival, and it is one of the sabbats that is celebrated on the Wiccan Wheel of the Year. And the Wheel of the Year is something that was popularised with Wicca, and there is a very, very good article online that explains how the Wheel of the Year was sort of formed. IMBOLC is also called IMBOLG or OMEG or Brigid's Day or CANDLEMAS as well. So there are different dates that people do celebrate this sabbat. It is argued that the original Celtic festival would have been celebrated on January 31st, the day before February, so it can be called February Eve as well. But also some other people celebrate it on the 2nd or the 1st, and it runs over that sort of period of time, just like some of the other sabbats do. So when Christianity kind of took over, a lot of the pagan deities were transformed by the church into saints where that was possible. There were some deities like the Morrigan who just became sort of demonized and weren't, you know, put in that saintly kind of role. But Brigid was a goddess who was turned into a saint in the Catholic Church, and that day is celebrated in the Catholic Church on the 1st of February. And Robert Graves refers to the holiday as being celebrated on the 2nd of February. And a modern day cultural celebration in the United States is Groundhog Day, which occurs on the 2nd of February as well. So the idea actually does reflect a pagan story about the goddess coming out to, you know, see if it's time to come out of her hibernation. And so that's sort of reflected in Groundhog Day, but it's said that if the badger or the groundhog sees its shadow on February the 2nd, then winter will last for another month and a half or so. And if the groundhog doesn't see its shadow, then spring will come sooner. And that is similar to a tale of the goddess. There is an Irish charm as well that I have found in Starhawk's Circle Round, and this is said to have been said at this time, and it goes like this: "Early on bride's morn shall the serpent come from the hole. I will not harm the serpent, nor will the serpent harm me." And this charm was cited from Celtic Gods and Celtic Goddesses by R.J. Stewart. So that is the origins of this modern day celebration that potentially came over with the Pennsylvania Dutch as well. So Imbolc or Olmeg means use milk. There's also speculation that Imbolc means in the belly. So you build up a picture of this fire festival where the light is returned and the goddess is pregnant again and full of life, and it is the very, very beginning, that seed, that moment where the life sort of sprouts forth, and then as we go through the wheel of the year now, we will start to see more and more life. So when Astora comes, or the spring equinox, and then Beltane, Beelzebub, and then obviously to the summer solstice. So it's a really, really beautiful way to look at the new life and the new light returning, and that's beautiful. Brigid herself, I think, is such a popular goddess because she was a goddess of so many things. So she was a goddess of creativity, of life, fire, inspiration, warmth and nurturing. She's a very kind of motherly goddess. She's also a goddess of the well. Brigid is obviously an Irish goddess, and supposedly the Dagda is her father. There's also some speculation that the Morrigan is her mother. However, that is contested by some scholars, and Boann is a goddess who is also thought to potentially be the mother of Brigid, which I am not sure really. I do feel like there is a connection between the Morrigan and Brigid, and it could be sort of more sisterly potentially, but I haven't really made up my mind about that. So in Christian law, Saint Brigid was said to be Jesus's wet nurse, but there aren't really any historical records of a person, a Saint Brigid, existing. As well as being a healing goddess, Brigid was also a goddess of poetry and of ironwork and smithcraft, and she was associated with the cauldron as well as wells, and there's just a lot of associations with Brigid. She was very much beloved by many, many pagans, and then obviously beloved by many Christians, Catholics. So there's a lot that goes into this Sabbat, and there's a lot that goes into Brigid. And as I have said previously, you know, I don't work with Brigid specifically, and there are lots and lots of people who I know of who probably do work more closely with Brigid and who could probably give you a better understanding and description. But because I'm sharing this today, I wanted to give a little bit of a background. In the church as well, there is also Candlemas, and that is associated with the 2nd of February, which is Groundhog Day again. I remember celebrating Candlemas when I was at school. I was at Christian schools when I was younger, and I think they all were Church of England schools, C of E's, here in England, and we celebrated Candlemas, and I remember thinking it felt really, really Christmassy because there was all the candles, and it was just really, really beautiful and about the return of the light. Another book that I really like to refer to is Witch's Wheel of the Year by Jason Mankey, which is Rituals for Circles, Solitaries and Covens, and I pull this out every single Sabbath and just reread everything, and it's full of wisdom and knowledge and greatly resourced. So here Jason Mankey has included a Scottish poem which sums up the day's powers of prognostication, and it reads as follows: If Candlemas day be dry and fair, the half of winter's to come and mere. If Candlemas day be wet and foul, the half of winter's gain at Yule. And this is again part of the origins of Groundhog Day. So there is so much that goes into this festival, this beautiful fire festival. And for me, the reason that I want to make this oil today is because I've made it in the past and because I've had such beautiful rituals, and I wanted to be able to do that again this year because I feel very much that the healing is needed, and that process of, you know, shedding the old skins, because Brigid also has connections to the serpent, and there's that Kundalini energy as well that goes with it, and that goes perfectly with the fact that she is a goddess of flame, of hearth and flame, and it is a fire festival, you know, it is the return of that fire, that light, that sacred fire. And I always feel like a candle ritual is so, so beautiful at this time of year as well. And there are of course some other traditional ways that you can celebrate this particular Sabbat. So you can make a Brigid's cross. I have done this before, not very successfully. You can make a bridie doll, a Brigid's doll. You can bake a poppy seed loaf. There are some beautiful recipes in this book actually, so I will share a few with you. So Starhawk actually refers to Imbolc as Brigid, as that is another name for the festival. I think it's more commonly known as Imbolc now though. So this is such a beautiful book because it includes these beautiful illustrations, information about the goddess. The god here is about the Dagda, and here is the way to the well with words by Starhawk. Information about what you can put on the altar, And then a story, The Well and the Flame by Starhawk. Circle round and I'll tell you a story. And I have read a couple of these to my children before as well. Not that they really get them, I don't think, but I really enjoy that. Let Me Find My Way to the Well, another song by Diane Baker. Also, Diane Baker is a co-author, I should say, as well as Anne Hill. The Cauldron of Inspiration, retold by Starhawk. Brigid is not the only goddess of poetry and inspiration. This story from Wales tells of the birth of Taliesin, who became the most respected poet of the ancient Welsh. And the tale of Taliesin is actually in the Celtic Wisdom Tarot, which is one of my favourite decks. So that story is there. Then we have a health and creativity blessing, which is beautiful and actually sort of sounds similar to what I'm hoping to bring forth. Then a Brigid fire, a cauldron fire, kindling a fire, egg carton fire starters, a candle hat. So this sounds like something that I did when I was at school to create the little candle holder hat thing for your candle at Candlemas. A Brigid doll, Brigid candles, and there's braided Brigid bread here with oregano and garlic and tomato paste and egg yolk, and a Brigid soup, which includes lentils and onion and garlic. And there's a Brigid serpent here, a baking meditation. And so this is a sweet bread with a dried fruit and some sugar, and obviously in the shape of a serpent, so bringing in that serpentine energy again. And then there's bananas a la Brigid. So there's lots of really, really beautiful recipes in this book if you are looking to do some baking or do some crafts with your family. There are also some lovely books on IMBOLC if you wanted to get a individual book. I don't have any of those in my book collection. But another resource that I do like to look into is A Druid's Herbal for the Sacred Earth Year by Ellen Everett Hopman. And in here there are some herbs related to IMBOLC, these being angelica, basil, bay, benzoin, blackberry, calendine, coltsfoot, heather, iris, myrrh, tansy, and violets. And there are also some trees associated with the sabbat as well, being rowan and oak and willow. So there are some lovely, lovely ways to incorporate herbalism into your practice. And these are just some ideas, things that you can use, some correspondances. Obviously not a comprehensive list at all, and that's not what I'm trying to do, but it just gives you an idea a little bit about the sabbat itself. And I'm going to share now my process of making the oil, and you can come along and see how I make the oil. So here is a quick look at some of the herbs I'm going to be using today. So I have some lavender flowers, some lemon balm, some calendula, I have some carnelian chips here, I have some rosemary, I have some angelica root, some jasmine at the back, some basil, and some chamomile flowers, and some vervain as well. So, and then essential oil wise, I have lavender, I have some myrrh, I have some benzoin, I have some jasmine, and that's actually jasmine as well. So I am probably going to be using these for the oil. And I also have a bottle of this sweet almond oil, which is what I use to make most of my oils with. So some of you may know that I moved house recently, and so I have some altars set up at the moment that I'm not entirely happy with, and I decided to set up a little IMBOLC altar here for today so that I can work here. And I kind of just put everything where it is. So I don't know if it's going to stay like this, but it will be like this for now. So I'll just show you what's on the altar right now. So starting over this side, I have my abalone shell, and I have a smoke bundle here that I made, and this is garden sage with some of the lavender that was in my garden as well. This is a little pentacle with some tea lights on it, which I will light. This is a goddess statue that I got from Glastonbury, which is stunning and I love it. But when I had a candle in here once, it actually set fire, and that's why she has a rather dark face. So I don't tend to put candles in here anymore, but she still is a beautiful representation of the goddess, and definitely Brigid. This is my burner. This I got from Starchild in Glastonbury, and I will put a little tea light in there as well. I just have some pine cones that I think are beautiful. This is a Brigid's cross that I made a long time ago. It doesn't look great, but I still think it has a place here. A carnelian flame that I got from the Witch's box, which is just perfect because carnelian is a perfect crystal. I also think clear quartz, which is of course brilliant for everything. I've got some selenite back there because I love selenite for its cleansing properties. I have some citrine here. This is most likely been heat treated, but it's a really beautiful piece. And this is, I think, an aura quartz, which is just stunning, and I just get Brigid vibes from it at the moment, so that's why that's here. I just felt into it. This back here is a piece of art. I can't remember the name of the creator. I will try to find out, but I did get it from Glastonbury at one of the fairy fairs there, and I think it's very more organic, so I think it's beautiful. And this is a goblet that my father made, and I love it. I use it for dry offerings. Pestle and mortar there, cauldron, and a heat-proof dish. This is a vintage candle holder that I picked up from an antique shop, and I have just a white candle that I would like to anoint later. I have brought in incense burner here, and I have the Morrigan here, and this is, I believe the creator is Blaggerwood on Etsy, and I picked this up a couple of years ago now, so she is always present on the altar. One other thing I wanted to share is that if you do make this oil and you want to use it to anoint a candle with, there are some other colour correspondances I think you can use, and definitely white or yellow I think would be beautiful. I also have this green candle here which I think works, and I think blue works as well, and for me, yeah, definitely orange as well could work, so just feel into it. But for me, I think for this practice, I think a pale white candle works. And these are dinner candles that are made locally, and this is a soy candle. I tend to just get soy wax candles. These are also soy wax. So yeah, that tends to be what I do. I forgot to show you, this is a little cauldron that I picked up a long time ago, and it was a vintage one on eBay, I think. I tried to take care of it, but I tend to put incense in it. I literally found it today because it was in a box that hadn't been unpacked, so I'm probably not going to use this cauldron today because it hasn't got any sand or soil in it. So I'm probably going to use this one over here, the burner, and this one here today. So I have this amber bottle here, and it's all clean and washed out, and I'm just going to use the smoke from this smoke bundle to cleanse the inside. So that's beautiful and ready to go. So I also have some hand-rolled sandalwood incense that I picked up the other day, and I'd like to just burn a little bit of this. That smells amazing. I'm just going to cleanse the bottle again with this because it smells incredible. So when I've previously made this oil, it has been about healing and self-love and soothing and calming anxiety and overwhelm. And to be honest, it's the same this year, but there's going to be more of an emphasis on the fire element as well as the water, that healing. So I want to have some fiery correspondences in there as well as some like watery correspondences, and I want it to be healing and self-loving, but I also want it to be really motivating and inspiring and for creativity and for kind of ensuring that I am trusting myself. And it's similar to what I call on the Morrigan, really, in that sovereignty. And I do have a video on my channel making an oil for the Morrigan, so I will link that as well if you're interested to see. So first of all, I'm going to start with the herbs, and I'm going to start with some lavender. So I just take a little bit in my hand, and I'm going to bless this lavender and imbue it with the intention that it is healing and comforting, and it brings peace and nurturing for the self and a kind of calmness and a sure sense of knowing that all is well and that all will be well, and that, you know, I can trust myself. I'm going to add some lemon balm next. The lemon balm is really beautiful for mental health as well as physical health, and it just has a really beautiful nurturing energy again. So I'm just going to imbue this with the intention that it supports my mental well-being and helps me to remain calm in stressful situations. So again, I have some calendula flowers here. This is just such a beautiful herb for joy and happiness and love and friendship, and kind of cultivates that self-love again, but also friendship and openness and trust and vulnerability, you know, where you're safe to be vulnerable, and safety for self. And so that's what I want to bring in with this. But also because of the yellow colour, it feels very creative and abundant and like blessings for creativity and inspiration. And so again, I'm just going to bring that in here with that desire, that intention. I have some vervain here, and this is again for that love and that peace and that sort of protection for peaceful relationships, you know, to keep the peace in your home and your family. And that's definitely what I want to bring through, and you know, to help support me be a really, really good mum as best as I can be. It's like unconditional love. It's beautiful. And next I have some jasmine. I like using 3 pinches, as you might have noticed, and 3 of these little jasmine buds. These are just so, so beautiful, again, for that unconditional love. And it's like a mother's love, you know, that really nurturing, that unconditional love, you know, you do anything for this person love, and no matter what, you're there for them. And that this just helps support me because, you know, things aren't easy being a mum, and we have some family struggles, and, you know, as many families do. And so this is what I'm going to be imbuing that this support me with, and us throughout the year, you know, that this bring love and joy and happiness to our lives and help to foster those beautiful loving relationships between the family and those bonds of trust and unconditional love. So one thing that I really, really like to do very frequently is to blow my intention, and it's quite difficult now because the camera is kind of in the way, but yeah, you can blow your intention into these. And it's really interesting because before you've even done a ritual or any magic or spells, this is a ritual in itself, this creation of this beautiful oil, and it feels very sacred, it feels very loving, very nurturing as a practice. And if you've never made your own oil, I really, really strongly recommend it. I think it's beautiful, beautiful practice, and then you have something that you can use for sabbats and, you know, to work with your goddesses or to work with different planets or whatever you make an oil for. You know, it's such a beautiful process. So continuing, this is chamomile here. Again, this is just such a beautiful, calming herb, and it's so good for your health, your mental health, and again, physical health. And it's just such a joyful, again, joyful plant, and help to blossom new friendships and new opportunities. This will help support those new opportunities, bringing them in, and that inspiration as well that comes for ideas. And also when things feel hard, or when I'm discouraged, or when, you know, one of my children are discouraged, that we're able to pick each other up, but we're able to pick ourselves up as well, because we know that actually whatever stories are going on in our minds, they're not real, you know, and that doesn't come anywhere near close, because the love and the joy is so strong. And that's what I really, really want this chamomile to do, just to bring us back to a place of neutrality if we find ourselves, you know, knocked off course, and if there's anxiety there, that this just be a protection and a salve for that, and a peaceful salve. Such a beautiful herb to work with, chamomile. So I have some rosemary here. This is just a kitchen herb. I don't keep it in the kitchen though. This is in my herbal apothecary. We have some more rosemary downstairs. So rosemary I want to use for protection here, but also to connect with my ancestors, and to connect to specific dearly departed loved ones, ancestors who support me a lot and who bring me a lot of peace and comfort, and who are also supporting my healing as well and growth. And so this is not only protection, but it's calling for protection with them, and so that they would be at our side, you know, and with us throughout the year as we, you know, develop our new projects and carry on with life, really. And so that's what I would like to imbue into this rosemary, and that there's that protection there, that familiar protection comes from dearly departed loved ones. I have some angelica root here, and this smells incredible, and it's just really, really beautiful for grounding and centering and coming back to, again, a place of neutrality and connecting to Mother Earth as well. It's really, really beautiful for protection as well, and just having solid, stable roots. So may this help us to keep a stable, safe, protected, happy home. Our routines are safe and stable for us as well, and that all of our new ventures and projects that we're working on, our creativity is sort of fostered and looked after and grounded in that way, with stable roots. Finally, I have some basil here, and this is a really, really beautiful herb, again, for love, as well as abundance and money, prosperity, and it is a fire herb as well, so it's bringing in that beautiful creativity, those juices, that inspiration, and that fiery element. So I'm just going to imbue it with all of that, so creativity to bring prosperity and joy and love and life into our lives. Prosperity and abundance, I can feel it. I can actually feel the tingling in my hand right now from this basil. It is so, so beautiful. Absolutely stunning herb. And I have made quite a mess, which I tend to do when I make these, no matter. And one last herb is a bay leaf, and again, this is so beautiful for abundance and prosperity, and I have a bay leaf ritual on my channel as well if you would like to see that, so I will share that in the cards above. Again, this is just so beautiful for love and prosperity and manifesting dreams and desires and wishes and goals, and it's so beautiful for protection as well. And so I am just going to sort of roll this up. It sort of becomes a crunchy mess, and just to pop it all in there with that beautiful intention, and you can see the herbs there. So next I have some of this carnelian, and I'm going to just put a few pieces in, let's say 3 pieces. Again, let's work with the 3 for manifesting and creativity and inspiration and fire and passion, heat. That's in there now. So I have collected up the little herbs here. So I've just put those extra herbs just on top of that burner there, so it's in the wax, so those beautiful intentions can all come out into the room and fill the space. So this bottle holds 100 ml, so I'm going to be including between 12 and 18 drops of essential oils, which means that it will be skin safe so long as, you know, there's no allergies there. So if you've never worked with essential oils, it's really, really important to be safe when you're working with essential oils. And in my previous video where I made more of an oil, I talk more about being safe with essential oils. They are flammable, they are not for consumption, they do need to be diluted with a carrier oil always. I like to make my oils so they are skin safe, so I can also use them on my body. I don't tend to use them on my face, but I have made facial oils that I have used for that purpose, but you want them to be skin safe because you're going to be anointing candles, etc. So I am going to be using 2 drops of lavender. So whenever you're using essential oils, you always have to dilute, because they can be very dangerous, they can burn your skin, they can be toxic and fatal to people. That's 2 drops of lavender there, and I'm going to be using 3 drops of jasmine. I'm going to be using 3 drops of myrrh essential oil as well. This is very thick and sticky, so I'm actually just going to use that. I'm going to be using 2 drops here of benzoin. Last time I believe I used some rosemary, but I can't seem to find my rosemary essential oil right now. So I am going to use some lemon verbena as well. This is, again, to bring in that sort of inspiration, that fire and creativity. So just do a couple of drops of this. And I'm going to blow my intention into it this time. I really, really like the smell. It is very heady with the myrrh and the lavender, and last time I think I used more rose and vanilla for that softness and that real self-love and healing, and you know, that's an option. I would like to have this oil be the way it is though, because I quite like the earthy scent and the lemony scent, that inspiration there, that creativity and that fire. So I'm now going to add my sweet almond oil, and I usually make a bit of a mess. So I've got my funnel here, so that should help. So I will just start to pour this in. And you can use grapeseed oil or other vegetable oil, or you could use olive oil. It's obviously really good for love and money, abundance and prosperity, but whatever feels good, whatever you have. There it is. Making oils like this is absolutely one of my favourite things to do, and I'm going to use this in a ritual. One thing I will say about this is that obviously in the past I've made my Morrigan oil, and when I made that oil it was very much with the Morrigan, whereas this is for Brigid and for Imbolc. So there's a difference there because I don't tend to work with Brigid specifically throughout the year, and there's a difference, so it's more of an honouring and an offering rather than like asking her for things, but this definitely brings about the healing along with it as it is. So, you know, you can make this and dedicate it to Brigid and make it alongside Brigid, but I didn't do that. I didn't call on Brigid, but I would like to leave an offering, and I would like to offer some lavender flowers. So I'm just going to do that in this beautiful chalice here. Just going to make this offering here for Brigid to honour the goddess and thank her for this beautiful process and this oil that we've now made, and to celebrate Imbolc and to use in a ritual and to use throughout the next few months. In terms of scent, it doesn't have like a really strong scent, but you can pick up the lavender and the lemon, and it's earthy and it feels very bright and vibrant and very hopeful and fresh for the future, and that's exactly what I wanted. And it feels earthy as well, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful combination. And I think no wonder people love working with Brigid, and all I can say is that I feel like I need to do more work to honour Brigid and to get to know Brigid as a goddess. And you know, Imbolc every year kind of becomes more of a favourite of mine, and I cannot wait to work with this oil during Imbolc. So you might be able to see the mess that I'm surrounded with either side of this setup that I have here, and obviously I've still got stuff out. I haven't really tidied away anything, so this is, you know, as real as it gets. But I just thought I would like to finish off this oil making process with a little ritual, and I absolutely feel that, you know, however you like to celebrate the sabbats, you know, is the right way to do it. And whether, you know, you want to make a Brigid's cross, or you want to make a bridey doll, or you want to make a loaf of bread, or just go for a walk, or do a tarot reading, or a few of those things, or, you know, none of those things, that's absolutely perfect. And you know, because every witch, every magical practitioner is so different, and I think that every year can be different as well. You know, you can follow what works for you and what doesn't, and this has been really, really a special process for me, and I feel like this is just going to help support the year ahead, really, because of these transformations that we're going through and the collective are going through. I really, really feel that, and you know, I can feel the hope and the creativity, you know, really starting to rise. But it's not just ideas, you know, it's like bring it into the material and the reality, and that's what I feel and see for this year, and I'm so, so excited. So I'm going to clear a little bit of space and then do a little bit of a ritual. So if you want to join and stay with me while I do that, please do. So you can't see her, but I have my little goddess representation for Brigid over here, and I am sitting this offering of the lavender flowers next to her. And then in this space I am going to work with this candle here and do some meditation with the candle and just go with the flow and speak words of intention. And I probably won't share the whole thing, but it just gives you an idea of how you might want to structure a ritual, some ways that you can celebrate, you know, that I've discussed in this video, and also an idea about how you might want to set up your altar. And I've shared altar spaces before. This is definitely a very specific, like right now, Imbolc altar, and you know, it feels very, very special to do that. So I'm just starting with cleansing this candle because it's been in the drawer. So at this point, if you want to, you could carve a symbol or you could write on the candle. I don't feel the need to do that. What I'm manifesting I already feel coming through, and I think with the oil, with the candle, with the flame, and meditating on the flame, I can bring in what I want without any further symbolism. But that's down to you if you wanted to create your own sigil or use a symbol that you know, or write words of intention along the candle, then you can do that. But definitely I'm just going to review the candle now and just spend some time sitting with it. The thing that's coming through for me is gratitude, so much gratitude, and so that's what I'm kind of bringing into this today. And I will be doing another working again for Imbolc when it comes around to the day. So I'm going to use my oil now, and you know, if you wanted to, you can keep the oil for a few weeks before you use it, or you can use it straight away. You know, it really doesn't matter. And I know people have different ways that they describe these oils. It's really an anointing oil, a spell oil, and what I'm going to be doing is anointing it from the top to the bottom, and that's how I feel I'm bringing something towards me, because I'm pulling it towards me. The intention, I bring in light and abundance, and I bring in hope, and I bring in clarity, and I bring in joy and love and healing, and I bring all of these things into me for myself and my family and for our projects, our creative projects, and it's just going to keep us going throughout the year, basically. Just gorgeous. Candle smells lovely. So just try not to get any on the wick. I'm just going to melt the bottom of the candle slightly. If you wish, you can also create a petition that you put underneath the candle, which is very useful and popular as well, which I do a lot of in my spell work. But again, I don't feel the need to do that today. This is almost just like an honouring of the goddess and, you know, gratitude, and then bringing in more of that beautiful light energy, that love, and that, yeah, return of the light. So just light our candle. So I ask for this hope and healing and light and love and joy throughout the year. So I thank the Goddess Brigid. I thank you. I thank you for the return of the light and the return of the fire. I express my full gratitude for all of the abundance and the prosperity and the love and the joy that we have received this past year. And I ask that as the fire returns, you stoke the fires within our hearts, stoke the fires of inspiration, creativity, stoke the fires of manifestation, so that we may bring into the light what we love, what we see, what we dream, what we desire. And I ask that you stoke the fires of love, compassion, joy within our family, within our friendship groups, that we hold space for one another, and that there's peace and healing, and that we can align with love and send love out into the world. Goddess Brigid, thank you for your healing, thank you for your inspiration, thank you for the flames, for the fire, thank you for your compassion. With gratitude, and I call in the abundance for the year ahead and the prosperity, the materialization and manifestation of these projects and dreams. And so it is. So now you can just spend some time with the flame, and that's really what I like to do. So I'm just going to meditate with the flame for a bit and then rejournal some of my reflections. So thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I hope that you have enjoyed it. I hope that it's been helpful and that it's been inspiring, and that it has maybe given you some ideas about how to celebrate this Sabbath if you haven't already, or if you want something new to do, and if you've never made an oil. If you did enjoy the video, then please do like it, hit the thumbs up button and share it with anyone who would also enjoy the video. If you're enjoying my channel as well and you'd like to see more from me, then please do hit the subscribe button, and while you're subscribing, don't forget to hit that little bell notification. That's how YouTube is going to let you know when I create and upload videos like this. Witchcraft, magic, tarot, rituals, spells and spirituality. I have an Instagram and a TikTok, and I will leave those handles on the screen as well as down below if you would like to go over and follow. And I also have a buy me a coffee page if you'd like to show your appreciation for what I share here on the channel. And with all that said, thank you again so much for joining me. I hope that you stay well and safe and have a blessed Imbolc.